Hey guys, welcome to the Elite channel. My name is Martin, and let's talk business. A lot of nomads and expats open businesses abroad, some becoming very successful. This is an interview with Victor Savall, a young man from Barcelona who has a chocolate manufacturer in Da Nang. Victor mostly deals with high-end clients such as five-star hotels, making absolutely unbelievable creations out of chocolate. Definitely watch this interview if you're interested how a person can set up a business in Vietnam. But before you start watching, please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel for a lot more on nomad life. Okay, we're in Da Nang. It's crazy hot, like 35 degrees right now. But this is a nice cafe, and I'm here with Victor. And Victor is technically, you're an expat. Can you call yourself an expat?
Yes, expat and immigrant also, because I left my country.
Okay, so you're from Barcelona, right?
Yes.
You have a chocolate factory and a chocolate shop as well, basically a chocolate making business here in Da Nang. So I'm actually your regular customer. I live here in Da Nang with my wife Masha, and we order a custom-made chocolate from Victor, and this is some of the best chocolate we've ever tasted in our lives, ever. So again, you come from a family of chocolatiers,
yes,
generations. So can you please tell me more about your family history?
Yes, so as you mentioned, in 1992, my great-great-grandfather opened a chocolate and candy factory.
I'm sorry, 1992?
1892 was the opening of my great-great-grandfather chocolate factory. That was just 30 years, 40 years after the chocolate as we know was invented in England. So it was one of the first factories in Europe and in the world. This factory was already doing high-end chocolates and candies for the high-end market at that moment. It sells to the kings and to the first hotels in Europe.
That is amazing. So you existed all this time, and as far as I understand, you had to shut down, right?
So when my grandfather retired, he was the fourth generation before me. He retired and no one followed the business. I was 5 years old, so I couldn't take it at that moment. So he had to close the business in Barcelona.
So, but what was the reason that he closed the business in Barcelona?
It was a retirement, and that my uncles, they didn't follow the tradition. That was the main reason.
I see. Okay. So currently, what role do you play in this business?
So I'm the chef, and then I'm doing also managing of all the departments. I'm doing PR with the new customers. I'm doing some part of design. So I'm a little bit doing everything. So as my grandmom say, we change the hat when I'm in different areas of the company.
Okay.
But there is a control, supervising control, opening doors for new customers, grow the business, improve the operation. So it's a little bit everything. Of course, focus on the recipes and all the main thing. It's the priority of the business.
So, okay, you moved the business from Barcelona to Da Nang, but how did you establish here in Da Nang? Like, why Da Nang?
Yeah, so the reason we came to Da Nang is because when we were kids, my brother and me in 2004, we traveled all together with my family, and we traveled from Hanoi to Saigon. We had a 1-month trip by car, so we ran a car with a driver that was the one driving us, and we stopped in many cities in Vietnam. We love Hoi An, and then since that year, we decided to come back to Hoi An 1 month every year. So since I'm 9 years old, 8 years old, we are coming every summer to Hoi An. So that was our link with Vietnam as first.
But why didn't you establish it in Hoi An then?
So actually, I established 2 years in Hoi An. I work in my uncle's restaurant as a pastry chef. After I started working in Four Seasons Nam Hai, and at that moment I moved to Da Nang. One of the reasons is because Hoi An is a tourist town, and to live there it can become a little bit claustrophobic because suddenly you see all the atmosphere and everything is like tourist. So Da Nang is a bigger city and it feels a bit more open.
Okay.
That was the main reason.
So how specifically, how did you find a place? How did you get the people? How did you get all the documents set up like in Vietnam?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if I understand correctly, you don't speak Vietnamese.
I can communicate Vietnamese, but when I moved here, there was just some words and some numbers. Slowly I learned more. Now I can communicate, but it took time. So at the beginning, actually, my father and my brother, they moved at the same time. I moved to the hotel, to Da Nang. So three of us, we moved here. And my father, he set up a IT company. So when I was in the hotel, he already set up this IT company, and then we set up a structure of computers and office. So we use the same structure with the same administrator to set up the candy business at the moment, the chocolate business at the moment that we decide to open.
But how did you take care of all the documents and find the people for the business?
So from this structure that my father set up for his IT business, we had a person, it was an administrator, and she was the one doing the talking with the government and arranging all the papership to set up the company. And at the moment that we set up the company and we start having the first customers, we prepare all the papership and everything thanks to our team that it was already there.
The company is called Savall Chocolate. Is that your last name?
Yes.
So, and this has been your family last name all this time?
Yes. So it's the surname of my grandfather. And yes, and we name it Savall because to honor my grandfather, that he's still part of consulting team of the company, because we are always in touch by WhatsApp. And also to explain the story, so and to relate it to the name that it was part of the tradition.
Again, initially your business was in Barcelona, but you were 5 years old. How old are you now?
Now I'm 29, and very soon will be 30 in October.
And how did you then adapt? I guess what I'm trying to ask is how did the setup process go? What challenges did you encounter on your way?
So on one side, the business of my family started with a chocolate and candy factory. And generation after generation, in 1920s, it turned to a pastry shop, the main branch of the business. There was some of the brothers of my great-great-grandfather that they keep the candy factory. So what I learned from my grandfather, it's pastry. So my grandfather was doing croissants, was doing some brioche, was doing cakes, chocolate, candies, everything. So one of the things we did is choose the product that has more margin and set up a market business that allowed us to work from Monday to Friday. That was one of the change and adaptations we did. And we saw that chocolate, it's one of the products has more margin and it's more grateful. So we decided to focus on these products, even though I'm a pastry chef and when I was in Four Seasons Amhai, I was doing pastry and all the cakes and everything.
And so I understand, again, from the information that I have, your cocoa beans are all local, right? So all Vietnamese.
Yes.
Are they different from what you are they different from what you generally see on the market, and what makes them different?
Yes. So actually in our company, we work with cocoa beans and we work with chocolate from bean to bar makers, all from Vietnam. So all the ingredients we use are originally from Vietnam. And Vietnam cacao is very special, and one of the reasons is because it's been 100 years that no one has modified it. So the story of the cacao in Vietnam is that the French, in the beginning of the 19th century, in the beginning of 1900, they brought the cacaos from one of their colonies. And these cacaos, they tried to make fruit, but they couldn't because cacao is tricky to grow, and it has some tricks that you need to know. So these cacaos, there has been in the farmers' lands for a long time. And they got some fruits, but not enough to make production. So after 100 years, a Belgian guy rediscovered this cacao in Vietnam, and compared to other countries where they've been modifying it and making it more productive, in Vietnam has been intact. So we have a primitive kind of cacao that it has a lot of qualities not for production as in Africa, but for quality. So it's a very special cacao from the bean itself.
But where do you get this cocoa from? How do you source it?
So there is different regions in Vietnam. It's one of the countries that has a special characteristic that it has three terroirs. Terroirs is a term that we use, that it's used in wine of lands. So there is three different lands where the different profiles of cacao for the kind of land. The spice of the cacao is the same, but we have the ones in Mekong Delta. It has some fruity notes and some characteristics related to the fruits that they grow around. We have in Dak Lak, and near Quang Nam there is some chocolate growing, also some cacao growing.
What is that term again?
Sorry?
What's the term?
Terroir.
Terroir?
It's a French word. It's a terroir means land, like
Ah,
the soil, terroir.
Oh, okay. Okay, now I
But
understand.
what happens with cacao is that there is so many terms that they blend with the wine. Even the process of making it, it has a fermentation in between. But all the way it grows and the way the land affects to the final product and everything. So in this case, it's something that has been adapted from the wine term.
I didn't know there's so many parallels between cocoa and wine industry. I'm assuming it's kind of the same for coffee, probably, but so okay, here in Da Nang, what, or in Vietnam in general, what are some of your typical customers? Like, who do you deal with now?
So from the beginning, we defined a company that was based on five-star hotels amenities. So after I worked at Four Seasons, I saw that it was interesting to create a range of high-end amenities in a way that the hotel can place it in the room and playing with local ingredients and my family recipes and ceramics and packagings from all around local producers in Vietnam, we could do something very special and unique. So
Do you export?
yes, we export since maybe 5 years ago. We did the first export shipment.
To where?
Japan was the first real customer that we export. After we have many customers, they buy retail and they bring it outside. But as selling to another B2B, it was Japan in Tokyo.
Well, you're not exclusively B2B. I mean, obviously, you have people like us who just come to you and buy chocolate.
So actually, the way that we set up is we first make the workshop and the office before we open the shop. We've been several years where we didn't have a space to shop, but we have some mostly friends and people, visitors, they come, and we have some retail products. That was until 1 year ago that we opened a retail shop with a particular line of products. So the main business is with the B2B for five-star hotels, but we also have a line of products that it's for retail to share our chocolates with retail customers.
But before you opened that retail shop, which actually I've been there a few times, it's quite lovely. But even before that, you were able to shop B2C or to sell B2C like with delivery.
Yeah, so it was mostly delivery, and we had a small showroom in our factory, but it was the space of and I don't like to call it factory, more workshop, but it was the entrance of the workshop. So we put a shelf, and it remains a shop. But the idea is like this, there is in Barcelona some croissant factories that they open at 5 o'clock. Some people hang out and they go there, they buy the croissant from the back door. So it was a little bit this spirit.
Right now, in your business, what are the most popular products that you sell?
One of the most popular is the cashew nut catanias, that it's inspired in a recipe from a town in Catalonia that my grandfather used to do.
Is that Catania?
Yes, so the Catania is the original name of the chocolate. In Spain we do it, in this town it's done, and my grandfather do it with almond. Here, because they translate to Vietnamese ingredients, I do it with cashew nuts.
I was wondering why they're called Catania, because I actually like those a lot too.
So in the name is not clear the origin. It doesn't have to do with there is a city in Italy, it's Catania, but in this case there is not a particular reason. So it's a name that it became, this chocolate was invented in a pastry shop in this small town in Catalonia, and that was the first one that they defined these 3 layers of chocolate in this way, and it's not clear the origin of the name.
In your business right now, just with everything that you deal with, what are the most rewarding things and the most difficult things, like the best and the worst parts, so to say, of your business?
So there is something working with the luxury market of the hotels, is that when everything is good and there is no problem of delivery or anything, no one say anything. When there is a problem, because maybe the delivery company delay a little bit the order, or there is some things that always can happen, then they complain. So there is a little bit on the good side. We don't work on the weekends. On the bad side, we're working with huge demanding customers that we prove consistency and professionality for 7 years. But even though there is this tricky second side.
Because you have to depend on other companies for delivery.
More than that, it's that this luxury market, they request highest quality and highest everything, and it's what we do. But then when it's good, no one say, very good, thank you. But when it's bad, then there is a complaint. Sometimes it's a complaint from the reason it was them, then we analyze the problem. That doesn't mean that it was but there is this tricky thing. And then the good thing is being able to be in the best hotels in Vietnam. And some normally we brand the chocolates together with the hotel, sometimes not, because they deal with the hotel or we put it in the plate. But I know that Roger Federer, the Prime Minister of Japan, Abe, many big people, they try our chocolate, some of them given by me, some of them from the hotel. So it's a kind of reward that it makes us very proud.
That is super cool. Wow. Man. How many country leaders have you met like this?
The thing is that what happens with the APEC, the Embassy of Japan contacted me and they wanted us to make the gift for all the embassy and the delegation. I didn't met him myself, I met the ambassador of Japan, but they choose our products to give to him. So I gave to the ambassador and the ambassador gave to him and they notified me that he liked it very much. And then Enrique Peña Nieto, the president of Mexico, he also was during this APEC convention, and also the Mexican ambassador called me and we set up the gift for the delegation. And then Roger Federer, he was in a hotel in Da Nang, and the team called me and said me, we need a VIP amenity. It was secret, I didn't know it was Roger Federer until after, but we created the chocolates for him and then he received it in his room.
Aside from your business, I want to talk about you. So you, yeah, Vietnam. So you've been living in Da Nang for how long?
As now Da Nang since 2015, 14, end of 14.
So like what, 9 years or so, 10 years.
Yes, and then 2 years more in Hoi An. In total, it's around 11 years in Vietnam.
How do you feel living here has impacted you personally?
And on the side of the business, we are super unique, and we create a definition of production. Everything is unique also in Barcelona, but here suddenly we are creating a product that is totally new in Vietnam. Personally, I think there is something that I see in many people. You become more humble at some point. There is an Asian mind that I share with my team and with people, and there is a kind of patience, and sometimes even in Europe when we talk, we are afraid of silence. So sometimes when there is silence between two people, people try to say something. But here there can be conversations that there is silence for a while and it's totally natural. So there is this kind of feeling, it's not meditation because I don't meditate, but there's a real bit of appreciate patience, appreciate calm, and spend time with certain things, and there is all these positive things.
Obviously, you've been here for a while, but like throughout all your time here, what is the most about living in Vietnam that surprised you? What is the thing that surprised you the most?
Yes, one of the things is that it seems that everything is possible. An example, it's like we need to bring a fridge from one side to the other one, and a guy comes with a motorbike and they put a fridge that it was totally impossible to do. This is an example, but suddenly it rains massively. Barcelona collapses if it rains a little bit more than normal. The traffic lights stop. And here it seems that it rains, it's raining as crazy, and life goes on. Situations like this, we have to move things, we have to bring something upstairs, and in Barcelona you would think, oh, how we do it, we need to hire, and then suddenly 3 guys come and they find a solution, like solve. This is really impressive from here.
I've seen it, like if like big rain starts, like all the traffic is still as crazy as ever. They just put raincoats on and that's the only thing that changes. And I know what you're talking about, guys transporting stuff on bikes. I've seen a fridge, I've seen a wardrobe, I've seen a mattress, I've seen cages of geese, and yeah, I've seen some crazy stuff.
The most one weird thing is when they carry a mirror, and I don't know if you saw it, a very big piece of mirror, and then you're driving behind, and you get some trip effect.
It's very convenient, actually.
Yes. It's obviously dangerous, but at some point it's resolved. Like there is a problem and it's solved. It's not, don't need to hire a big truck and spend time to wait for it. Like we have to bring this from here to here. Let's do it.
What's a typical day like for you here in Da Nang? Like what happens morning to evening?
So I used to wake up in the morning. I have some breakfast, sometimes a banh mi or sometimes a soup, a Vietnamese soup. Sometimes I get a sandwich, some breakfast. I have a coffee. Sometimes here where we are now, because it's next to my workshop, or I have a coffee, someone at a coffee place, and then I go to the office. And then in the office, I start seeing the work of the day. Either I go to the kitchen to make some new product or some VIP product, or I work in the computer, but I'm a little bit all the time up and down. Then I have lunch or at home or some local restaurant near the company, work more in the afternoon, and then the afternoon, 3 times per week I go to the gym. Then I have dinner, and sometimes I hang out, I go to play pool and go home. This would be a working normal day.
Is it weird for you to have soup in the morning?
Before it was, but suddenly it became the most rewarding breakfast. And it seems that the protein on the broth, they come to your blood faster. So at some point, it was weird at the beginning because it's hot all the time and it makes no sense. But you establish the body temperature, it gets quite adapt. And it gives you energy for all the morning.
I know, I've seen that was one of the weirdest things we saw in Hanoi is that some of the best pho places actually close by like 11 a.m. but you know, for us, it's like, why? You have soup for lunch generally, you know.
Yeah, this is something that, and even though when I came back from Vietnam after the trips I had in summer, at some point I was eating soup in the morning, but Catalan soup, that it's similar to pho with some meatballs and stuff. And it makes me feel better because I had some, not serious stomach problems, but at some point I needed to have a proper breakfast and make sure my stomach was full, so I was very skinny. So it really, I adapted, I brought it to Barcelona and it was good.
Speaking of Barcelona, how do you stay connected with Barcelona living here in Da Nang?
So now I'm going once per year at least, and I'm trying to increase these trips. I'm working for a molecular gastronomy company that they supply products related to gelatins and products to make Michelin star dishes. So I'm ambassador of this brand, so I'm connected with this team in Barcelona that they work with the best restaurants in the world. With my grandfather, we are always in touch and we discuss new recipes and new products they do. And then I'm establishing this bridge slowly between Barcelona and Da Nang and Vietnam and Spain. I'm in touch with big chefs in Barcelona, some of pastry, some of kitchen, and I keep doing this connection that I want to grow in the future.
Any plans to reopen back in Barcelona?
There is a possibility to do something first, like a pop-up maybe. I did some classes in some gastronomy schools in Barcelona when I go there. So I'm not sure if it would be a physical location or maybe a certain time, like a Christmas go there and a certain Christmas go there and make a special pop-up and do some products. But there would be a possibility at some point to have some products there, but always keeping the base in Vietnam. Like the base of the business will be in Vietnam.
I was just about to ask you actually about your plans specifically. So do you have any plans to expand and maybe not just Barcelona, maybe somewhere else? Like how are you planning to grow your business?
Yes. So at this moment we are very well settled in the hotels, luxury hotels in Vietnam. We're selling in Phu Quoc, in Hanoi, in Saigon, Nha Trang, Haiphong, mostly the biggest cities in Vietnam, and always in this high-end market. That is where we feel comfortable because it's the product we sell. On one side, the retail shop, we have now one in Da Nang and we are opening one in Hoi An soon. And we have planned to open one in Hue. So this retail shop that is like a kind of parallel business, produced in the same place, but we define a brand totally related to the original. This is growing on this way. And then for the wholesale, we are already exploring to increase in Japan, sales in Japan, so make regular shippings to Japan. And then another target is Singapore, Hong Kong. So cities around Southeast Asia, where the quality appreciation of the customers is now higher than Barcelona and United States. And then once we are well settled in Asia and Southeast Asia, especially the cities I mentioned, slowly go back to Dubai and then to Barcelona. But once you go further than Singapore, the delivery fees are higher and the structure has to be a little bit more solid. So starting Hong Kong and Singapore and Japan, it gives us a good structure and a good basement to keep moving forward. Always in this high-end market, because we don't want to do either massive productions, and in any case reduce any kind of quality. So if we want to, the business that we did here and the market that we got here, and make it in other countries.
It's quite a strategy still.
Yeah, we are really happy, but we, Catalan companies, and in our case it's 100, more than 130 years old, are famous to make things well settled, like slowly, serious for a long time. So we didn't grow very fast, but everything we do, it's really well done, and making sure every step we do, it's sure. And there is no this fast growing that some companies in Vietnam, you can see many companies that in 1 year they grow a lot and then after they fall down. So our idea is to keep everything, now sounds I say many countries, but we would go step by step, one to one, go to the right customer, say no to the one we are not interested.
I actually forgot to ask you one thing. What about like the legal stuff, all the documents? How difficult it is in Vietnam for somebody to set up a business?
Yes. The moment that we did it, the regulation was different than now. But actually, with the team that we have, we managed to have all the translation and the approach to the government. And it's not easy because there is a lot of papers to sign, and here there is a lot of stamps to do for every contract. But actually, the way that we make it, it was quite smooth.
But like, how would a person go about setting up a business in Vietnam? Like, for example, I have a company that I want to register here.
Yes.
I want to set up my business here. What do I do?
There is different ways, but most of it is, in Da Nang in particular, go to the government and ask what kind of company. They are really helpful. And my recommendation is not go to agents, because some agents, they are lawyers and they try to take advantage and they get some extra commission that it makes no sense. So my recommendation when someone asks me is go to the central government in Da Nang. Da Nang is a special city in Vietnam. And they will attend you in English and they will explain you exactly what's the proceedment. Normally there is a first investment that you show the money and then you do the papership you need. And then at some point it's good to have someone local that help you to do all the translation and can work with you. But I recommend to be someone working with you, like hire a team or hire someone that is going to work with you. But I don't recommend agents in general.
I see. So when you say go to the government, what do you mean? Like go to
the administrative building, they have some welcome area, and you go there and there is an area to make companies, and you explain what you want to do, and they will give you all the checklist, let's say, like all the papers you have to do. And then from there you see the proceedment. Depends on the company. IT company is different than restaurant company, and there is a minimum investment that it changes during the years. That also they have the definition of that.
So you go to the government, but what about like getting a team? Where would you find people?
So making a team, we did it in the kitchen point of view. All of my team, they had no background. They were not pastry chefs or experts in kitchen, but they were friends of the administrator in a way that we have confidence. And before we opened, we've been one year nearly training and doing new products and giving out to friends to see how it works. And we create a very strong core of people that has been training by me directly, so they didn't have background. In the good point that they don't have any bad manner, how it's called. But sometimes when someone is learning before pastry, maybe they do some things in a way that you want to correct, and then it's too late.
So with everything that I just asked, with people who want to open a business in Vietnam, what advice would you give?
My advice is this, to talk to the main administrative building and set up ask them which is the proceedment and follow the proceedment that it's on.
When people set up a business here, what difficulties do you think they might encounter?
The language first. That's why it's good to find someone that works with you that has some confidence. And then the fact that you are in a different country and some things go different, so there is this proceedments. In Vietnam, there is a lot of papership for more than in Spain, for example. And the old way, like papers and signing and photocopying. So there is some extra work that could be different from Europe or another country.
Is there a lot of paperwork here in Vietnam?
Yes, there is a lot of papers for things that normally they don't require that much paper in Spain, for example. It's just a matter of bureaucracy.
Like what?
Don't know, for example, to sell a contract of a certain amount of money and it's not very high, To make an order of, you have to do a contract. This contract had to be signed by the responsible customer and the seller. There is some license, the same as everywhere. But during the license process, there is more papers that would be in another place, with the same seriously and the same way in the same thing.
What about you personally? What are your personal hopes and plans in life that may or may not have to do with the business?
Keep growing the business so I can keep getting a bigger house, and be able to travel as much as I want for business and for not, but in a way that the business keep growing, and this gives me freedom to some part of business trips, but also be available to go anytime I need, or what I told you before, go more times to Barcelona and try to do this cross business that sometimes can be material sending there, sometimes can be also giving classes or giving speeches in Barcelona. So all this, grow this,
And finally, where's home?
Now, when I came back to Spain, I have a feeling of going to a foreign country somehow. When I go to Barcelona, and when I'm back here, I feel like at home. But I know, obviously, I have family and friends in Barcelona, and when I'm with them, it's home being with them. But this feeling of looking at, when I'm in the taxi in the back to Barcelona from the airport to home, and I see the buildings, they are the same because Barcelona is an old city. And I don't have the same feeling as I had the first years. And when I come here, the opposite. I feel this feeling that this is the place where I want to be. There is some things of Da Nang that that it make it really comfortable place. For no big traffic, the beach, the huge beach next here, Soncha Peninsula, there is a good vibe in general, in Da Nang in particular. Going to the restaurant, going anywhere, it's funny to have a smile or like have a nice chat. Where in Barcelona sometimes and in Europe, the atmosphere is a little bit more negative many times, apart from cases, but.
Victor, thank you very much for the interview. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Martin.
It's very nice to know you, and you really do, truly do have the best chocolate I've ever tasted.
Thank you so much, Martin. It was a pleasure too.
Thank you.
Thank you.